brighted me real tough earlier. Didn't catch it on camera. That car was bright, and this one has bright lights too. Up to 3 bright lights in a row. Triple justice. All right. That's just on camera. The garbage truck actually stopped at the road to bright me earlier on without any reason. And before that, there was another vehicle that stopped at the road. Okay, so they like doing that kind of foreshadowing. It's important to note, for those of you who are like scared because you're like little kids that never grew up or something, or whatever your issue is, I don't know, maybe it's part of your developmental disorder that causes your moral deficiency. But the best years of my life were actually since about 2011, when the gangstalking became obvious in terms of most quality years. The best years of people's lives are about 18 to 28 if their lives are normal. But if you're persecuted for righteousness' sake, by far, my martial art victory came. I exposed the evils in the world. You know, my moral acts, the fruit that I bore in the last, 11 years or so, is unmatched in human history. Okay, my top martial artist challenge was the most glorious act for God in human history, as I'm the top martial artist ever. It's like David's crowning moment, right, was beating Goliath. Next best thing perhaps was 2 Samuel 5, where another bride, he takes the city of David, the fortress of Zion, the city of God, as it's called. Of course, the true city of God is in the heavens, from the Jebusites. Okay, so Jesus, when he comes in his glory and really makes things happen in Revelation 19, is waging war with justice. So this is the most glorious. It's far more glorious than any military or police officer can claim. And give me a break. They serve corrupt governments on top of that. Even if they didn't, okay, it does not compare to a martial art challenge. Again, I'm going to post today the Judges 3 scripture that shows you that God taught the Israelites warfare. He left tribes there to teach them warfare, right? The Hittites, the Hivites, and so on and so forth. He left them around them on purpose, is what it says. That is extremely, extremely important. This guy has bright lights. It's hard to say the brights or not. Certainly, the effect their bright light bulbs have, and it seems to be brights. That must be brights. Okay, is that it's like the effect when you get bright lights shined on you. I see in the distance what looks like bright white lights on an upcoming suburban, of some sort. GMC, maybe a Chevy counterpart. Wow, bright as can be. I have to picture that one. Ooh, several in a row, right? Very deliberate. I've proven my point 1,000,000 times over. Also, my masculinity goes far beyond when everyone else is not rising to the occasion. Especially if you're cops and it's your job to keep people safe, okay? It's like their tails tucked. It's like their balls have been cut off, okay? Their heart has been removed. Maybe they never had some in the first place. I don't know. Okay, certainly if you use my scale, if you never obey God through me, through the divine order, God is the source of love, masculinity, justice, etc. You don't achieve any of the martial art principles, including masculinity. I mean, it's such a martial art principle that in Eastern martial arts, they use the yin-yang, and it's the symbol of hard and soft. And some people interpret it as masculine and feminine. However, I repeat, I do not believe in balancing with feminine energies or spirit, pure masculinity on mine. Heterosexual, pure, potent, martial masculinity from God. Okay, so you can imagine when I walk around, even though they sabotage my clothes to where, for whatever reason, we'll say, this part it gets a bit confusing, but I'm sure with all the evidence I presented, the 22 witnesses, I'm sure we can agree it's by far the logical assumption to believe me. He made it so I have to wear only hooded sweater, kind of raggedy pants, raggedy shoes. remember the image, right? Mage, image is a play on words. So it's anagram for I, mage, and I, game, and also the word game, right? Second word would be the word gay. I'm not gay. The word gay, and the word after that is me. So I, that word I just said, that I'm not, and me is the anagram, the image. I have to say it like that because who knows how they'll edit my videos in the future. But brights. You know what I'm saying? Remember, it just rained yesterday. These people have no regard for the law, for public safety, nothing. Law enforcement, FBI, you name it, right? They have fusion centers, and I believe that's various law enforcement agencies. It's been a while since I've reviewed that topic, whose job it is to check patterns in crime and things of that nature, okay? And these people just are morally bankrupt, okay? I'll go as far as to say, between the history of America and what's going on right now, it is impossible for someone to make an argument that serving this country as law enforcement, military, politician is something that is honorable or respectable. I'm sure all law enforcement can agree that it has to be said if they use their heads, okay? Just because you want to feel a certain way, like a little girl needing to use psychology or something, okay, doesn't mean that this shouldn't be said. This, your desire to feel comfortable as a corrupt cop or whatever, corrupt FBI agent, CIA, okay, is nowhere near as important as the need to highlight this to prevent other people from making that mistake, perhaps, which is not going to do, but in an attempt to, okay, to highlight that's a problem, the government needs to change, and things of that nature. I'm sure we can all agree that's the case. And this is part of why they target me, I'd imagine, because they know I'm the type of person to do the right thing instead of be peer pressured like some kind of coward that does what the corporate state says. It's part of why my masculinity goes far beyond theirs. Even if I ended up in a coma, my masculinity would be far beyond theirs, okay? They're less than the King of Hearts, okay? Everybody who doesn't obey God through me and my parents are blameless. Because my brothers have endured a certain degree of persecution, I'll give them a certain credit, okay? And I'll leave that there. Also, it's important to note that they threatened me heavily in the recent days, okay? Not just the subtle, here we go, another one, the bright, right on cue, right? Bright lights. Not just the threats that come with bright, again, today is Monday, the 28th, okay, 2022. One thing they ask people in mental health is, do you know what day it is today? Now, a lot of people do not know what day it is today without being mentally ill. It's important to know. So, you can imagine the fact that they have used their historically white supremacist mental health. It used to be considered a mental illness to run away from the plantation called drapetomania. Okay, psychiatrists have a long history of the political abuse of psychiatry, including here in America. If black people went to a white part of town, they would consider that a mental illness. I'm being hit by lights. This guy has one headlight. Yeah, one headlight, which is what a lot of people report. Okay, and a bunch of writing going on here. Okay, so did I say it's day 13? It's day 13, Monday, the 28th, 2022. So I even know what day in the video series we're on off the top of the head. See all the briding I endure? It is not even raining. It rained last night. It's about 7:25 or so in the morning. 7:20, 7:25. I left a little bit earlier than I usually do. There's a guy on the right. Okay, brightening me a little bit. Guy in the distance. We'll see if he turns down his brights when he gets closer. They hit me back to back. Now, part of it could be because people stop in the road with their windows down sometimes, and it creates some kind of fume in the air to add to the fumes, and sometimes fumes are coming from my vehicle, okay? So, I go as far as say, no matter what I say at this point, because it's obvious there's a psychological operation that law enforcement is ignoring, okay? I brought it to their attention before. One time when they came to my house, I said, hey, there are people following me around here. A lot of them are white, And, and he said, maybe, and they try to make excuses for him. I forget exactly what they said, but they try to make excuses for him. No investigation came about, okay? So they ignored my hate crime complaint to a law enforcement officer, a Santa Clara County Sheriff's deputy. Also, the hate crime on the wall, they said they couldn't really see it. You see it in the video back then, they probably edited it by now. It was pretty clear cut, and even is it's a more repugnant hate crime because it's depicting a violent act, against what looks like a skinny black person, Wake for it. That's the guy's license plate says, for whatever reason. And of course, sometimes these people will do things like put things that are more, that I've been talking about in my videos. Maybe it's just a coincidence to be completely objective about it, but it'd be a pretty strong coincidence. The person behind me is shining their brights at the light. It's important to note as well. And they're right up on me. Anyway, but they're in the car. So, and in the distance, someone has really bright lights on. And it is repugnant what they're doing. They know that I'm going to stand the most firm. Imagine it's the top martial artist, and people have stood firm for things without being the top martial artist, right? In the past, okay, so they know that I'm going to stand firm to the end, but they're in a sadistic manner targeting me, which is a degree of torture and certainly racial harassment as they try to force me into their racial system that has existed through the Masonic lodges, right? Masons were notorious racists because they upheld the racist structure of America, right? How many presidents were Masons, and at what time were they presidents, and what did their social clubs consider socially normative, if not the racist policies of the nation at the time? So these guys are, it's not just the Freemasons, they're all social clubs that have been around for a long time, Pilgrim Society, what have you, okay? And here this guy is shining lights. Remember, I have in the other video, okay, almost the same exact place, if I remember correctly, some guy parked. That's where I parked last time, and he shined his brights. I'm gonna give it just a few seconds here. Just gonna stop here. It's pretty legal because it's a parking lot, okay, and show you how that is. Boom. All right. I actually have to go shopping today, so we're gonna stop, and that is it's about a wrap for today. It's clear cut, as you see. Law enforcement are almost certainly aware of this. People have talked to me and said, hey, they're not going to intervene, and this is that the land of the free and the home of the brave, or is that just upholding white supremacy shamelessly? And I was right a million times over to say no one should reproduce, and God forbids everyone to reproduce, right? Even I should not reproduce. Thank you.